show. Well, we got some bans coming in here. That's Extremely Rabbit in the middle, one of the best emoticon packs for Cacao ever made.
So I think that most of the audience isn't aware of what Cacao emote pack, so you should probably enlighten them if you want to.
Well, Kakao Talk is the main messaging app in Korea, and they sell emoticon packs for about $2 a piece, and they come with a lot of animated emoticons, still frame ones as well. But Extremely Rabbit it's kind of a mistranslation of a guy. It's like a rabbit that overdoes everything or like overreacts to everything. That's basically what they're trying to say. And it's true. It's a really funny emoticon pack. There were lines out the door when they did one of those like pop-up stores for Extremely Rabbit. It was pretty intense, actually.
You know, I would probably feel really bad if a criminal stole my money and spent it on Extreme Rabbit.
Why?
I would rather.
I think that's a good purchase.
I would feel more inclined to prosecute if I knew that was what the money was used for than not.
Well, I don't know. I'd be like, yeah, I mean, go ahead, buy Extremely Rabbit. You made a good purchase. You took my money and used it on something good.
You're breaking my heart here, Valdez.
The caster synergy isn't there. We're not on the same page this time around.
There's only one emote necessary. That's Macho Bird, but we'll get is already in our plates is Kalista, the first pick, as expected. The one that I've always been advocating for. You can beat Kalista, at least is a lot harder to beat. So the Kog'Maw and Thresh are the answers. We saw last game, Game 3 between the MVP and Jin Air Green Wings, where the Kog'Maw triumphed over Kalista. And this time around, that might be the same case. Ever8 have that late game insurance. The Thresh Lantern duty duel with the Kalista. Ella has been playing pretty well so far, but it's a team effort, and it's going to be a little tough for you to play that team effort when we know what Tucson and Marin, or potentially Spirit if he plays Rumble Jungle, their synergy with the Alistar and Rumble. It's been beautiful. The Equalizer layered on top of it, and what I love about how they use it, the Equalizer, the second that they've fallen on the ground. They drop the Equalizer the second that Tucson goes in, so that they know that they can just drop it immediately. They trust that the Pulverize will come through, you lay it out, and so when they land, they're in the air cooking, they fall cooking, you get an overall, a better roast, more damage, better results.
A more well-done steak, if you will, depending on who you're killing. I guess you're not killing the Alistar with that Equalizer. But anyway, getting a little bit too deep on that topic, we do have the Lucian picked up. And, I mean, I'm sure that Septid can play it as well. Actually, let me check and see if
it is. Wait, oh, I guess you're right. Yeah, it could be a flex top.
Septid has played it three times.
It is Lucian mid. Like, you want to say it's Lucian mid, but I guess we have to give Keen the benefit of the doubt that it could be Lucian top, so Afreeca have to respect it.
Keen only played it once, so I think it's doubtful, but
it should be mid.
Yeah. I like the flex pick of the Rumble, too. You were touching on that a little bit. Adds a bit of confusion into, okay, is this really going to be the top lane Rumble, or will it be the jungle?
And they want to see more before they decide. If they needed Jarvan, right? Jarvan's still up. It's Marin's most played champion so far, so they could just wait for it. If another immobile pick gets locked in, they might be inclined to pick the Jarvan Rumble combination and then lane them accordingly. But I think Ever will just respond with a jungler here, and Afreeca will have to blind their solos.
Let's take a look at the last ban for Afreeca. Going down to the wire, 1 second, it's a Jax, taking away double split pusher in both Camille and the Jax. Really giving credit to Keen, as he has played a bunch of those champions, has played Jax 3 times, Camille also 3 times. So just wanted to shut down his power on the 2 big split pushers that he's been playing around with nowadays.
Well, that's what they've been great with Keen being on the split pusher. So it's as you mentioned, you know, Marin has been the target of many, many ganks throughout his entire career. So it's no surprise that if he were to fall to a Camille or a Jackson lane, that the snowball would be too much to handle. So it makes complete sense for them to prioritize that. Even though you could see and imagine that Gragas would be the only viable jungle choice for Ever, Gragas and the rest of Ever8 haven't been the win condition. It has been so much about Keen, so they'd rather just focus on that, let them have a more well-rounded composition in the 4-man unit, as long as you can have Keen in a more controlled champion, or controllable pick.
Kuro hopping onto his Talia, no big surprise there. And it will be the jungle Rumble will make his way up into the top lane as a blind pick here. I mean, I suppose it could still be that Lucian top, but doubtful at this point in time. We'll see what Ever8 wants to finish off this draft with.
Could it be the Yasuo? You've got Gragas. No, it's never going to be Yasuo, of course. It's just things of our imagination. And, you know, Gnar has, after the buffs, been pretty strong, to the point where you can blind him, as we just saw Marin do it. It's not really the end of the world. But what was before the greatest pick into Gnar was actually Irelia, the one pick that was actually capable of being a good laner into it, as well as transitioning into a mid and late game position that isn't a complete hindrance to your team, such as Yasuo. And I wish that we get to see a little bit more of Irelia. I think she got a little bit of buffs in 715 to her ultimate that might make her, it's not going to be enough to push her over the edge. The issue with that champion is that if you buff her to the point that she can be viable against Gnar, and in this meta, she's going to be to the point where she can lane against everything and beat everything. So it's a very fine line to balance her if you want to make her have that sneaky comeback into just the specific Gnar matchup.
I'd like to see Aurelia come back. She's hype. She jumps in, waves her blades around, and does a bunch of stuff. Not the best description, but kind of describes what I think about when I think about Aurelia. And it's pretty cool to watch. The Gnar, though, is pretty hype as well. If he can land that fantastic engage. Was surprised to see that the Jarvan didn't come out. Perhaps they didn't want to blind pick it. Wasn't just comfortable having him go in blind, as I said. But he's been playing that a lot. And instead they pick him up the Gnar to go up against the Jarvan, which should be a matchup that he understands.
And some well-rounded compositions from everybody. Marin and the rest of Afreeca have a lot of synergy with just womboing CC. And with Ever's lineup, while they do have some powerful CC to conflict with Jarvan and Gragas, it's more about protecting Scepter, protecting duel, making sure that your AD carries can deal damage and not get cooked or popped by Kuro or Spirit.
Looking for another star performance on the Alistair from Tusion once again. That's what I'm looking forward to. Let's jump into game number 1, though, and see if it'll pan out. Here we go, game number 1, starting off. The same guy that shouted, "Hey, Korean caster, you're handsome," in the beginning of our first series of the night, said something again. I couldn't catch that one. It was a longer sentence. He's been preparing these.
Did he compliment his dashing looks again?
He was complimenting something because the Korean commentator started off with, "Thank you very much." I don't know exactly what it was. God, we got to bring in our cheerleaders, Crumbs.
They have cheerleaders in LPL, you know.
Yep. They used to actually have what were called the GG girls in the Nexon Arena for StarCraft 2, funnily enough. Back in 2014, 15, I think the end of 2014, beginning of 2015, they used to have these girls that actually did like halftime shows, and they held up signs for the players.
See,
it's pretty cool.
I'm still on the fence about how I feel about cheerleaders for League of Legends, because on the one hand, it's distracting. These are young players. It's going to be distracting. You really cannot avoid that fact. But on the other hand, it's been scientifically proven that if you actually speak to a girl that you find attractive, your testosterone goes up, so you'll be manlier and more assertive in your play. So what do you do? What is the right way to improve performance, but at the same time maintain integral entertaining?
Well, I highly doubt any of the pro gamers would go up to the cheerleaders and talk to them, especially in Korea, if I can be totally honest. Especially because the coaches would be like, "Don't you dare go talk to the cheerleaders and get distracted." But outside of that, I think they'd be a little bit shy to go up and just talk to some cheerleaders. Would like to be proven wrong, but I'm not sure if we'll ever get to that point here in Korea. Maybe someday.
He's in North America.
Who's someday? Yeah, perhaps.
I always get you at that one.
Well, this bottom lane started off very interesting because Ella actually flayed them back in the tri-brush, so both Tushin and Kramer missed. I think it was 2 creeps of XP and gold, so you can already see the difference. It's 5 CS to 18 as the wave crashes into the turret.
Yeah, but they're double range, so they're going to be able to harass so much. And because they don't have Spirit here, they don't even feel safe going for a whole lot. So they're going to get a big amount of these creeps tonight. And even though there are a significant amount of minions there, they just can't go up that much. You've got Gragas there. If you get hooked, there's a chance you're going to be in danger. You're going to get low enough to get dove. And an already 9 CS for Duel over Kramer just because of the jungle pathing and the way that the leash has worked out. So the punishment on the blue side from Duel and Ella came in huge, and the Kog'Maw's already off to a roaring start.
Nicely done. Just a small maneuver in the beginning, as well as the jungle pathing gets you ahead like this. And it's really going to be up to Ever to make sure that they're not making any mistakes, because we've seen them get leads before, but then have trouble closing out. You know, the famous series that you and I did, Crumbs, where they were, what were they, 20,000 gold ahead on Samsung?
No, not that, 13.
13K? It's pretty close. 13K, and they still couldn't close it out.
With like a 6-0 Cassidy.
Yeah, that's true.
But
6-0 cast.
Yeah, what they need to do here is they've already got a CS lead in the bottom lane. So Duel's job is going to be keep farming. Make sure that the last hitting here is impeccable. Maintain that lead, keep growing it. Whereas Malrang now has to create his path all around the bottom lane. You've already got your win condition, your late game win condition is doing great. You keep going with that. You keep helping it out. You jungle in that side of the map. And I absolutely love the purchase of a Tracker's Knife already, making sure that you can start warding for the Kog'Maw, make sure that he's safe, that he gets by the laning phase scot-free. And this might be our first little bit of action as the junglers will find themselves in the Golem camp.
Spirit does have a smite available, waiting for that last bit of damage, but actually Malrang comes in and steals it. Spirit deciding, or perhaps just being late on the smite, does not pick up that Gromp.
It's not looking good for Spirit if it gets to a 50-50 Baron situation. Already 0-1.
The foreshadowing.
Yeah, exactly.
Is real.
This league is art imitates life. And I guess league is the poem here, where Afreeca is already perhaps shadowing us to a Baron. Price if it happens. We could play the card that we called it. We saw the signs.
It's a good song.
By Ace of Base?
Yeah.
You like that 90s techno?
I don't know if I like that style. I just like that song. You know what I mean? That song was special. That was a big hit. And they had another one too. I forget the name of it. Another one that was pretty famous for its time. You don't remember, Crumbs?
No, see, I didn't grow up in the States. So
oh, that's true.
My 90s was not in the States. I only knew Gasolina.
That's cool. You also knew sailing. I know you were a sailor.
Yeah, I was living life.
On the high seas. Just cosplaying some Gangplank before you even knew it was a thing. Before it was a thing, I guess.
Yeah, before he had even been conceived of.
But I guess pirates at that time were a thing, so a little bit less cool. Did you ever get attacked by pirates?
No, I did not.
What?
I did not get attacked by pirates, but thank you for your concern. What
yeah,
did happen,
you know.
I've had fish jump into my boat, and then you're like, oh, dinner. Literally.
That's pretty cool.
Or like sometimes fish will jump into your boat, and then you get fishermen coming back. Hey, I saw that. I want that. And then you're like a 10-year-old kid, but I want it. It's like, mine. And like, oh, and then they steal the fish from you. Speaking of stealing
those were the
fish,
real.
They're gonna steal the gold out of Duel and Ella. This is a 4-man dive, maybe 5-man if Marin's here.
There's no ward either, but you can see already Ella and Duel are backing off. Here comes the wall, and they are trapped. Getting that flash, trying to get onto the lantern, but he can't. That's going to be first blood going over to Tushin. In fact, the greedy cow steals the first blood.
And they're going to make a push for first brick here now with a fat wave coming into the bottom lane. So a great move from Afreeca that turns into a massive for them. And the Kog'Maw that was so strong from that first kill, or from that first denial into the bottom side, now is behind, loses the turret, and the game is just in Afreeca's camp now that they have the Alistar that can roam and more equalizers to both. And we're going to look at it once again. They see it coming, they suspect it, but there you know that the play is the flash lantern over the wall, but Tucson gets to react accordingly, and there's no escape for Kog'Maw.
Oh boy, Septid, really well-timed flash actually to get out of that one. Could have meant danger as Tucson trying to make his presence known all around the map, especially with this early of a first blood turret.
And even though they got the turret, it's still so early, as you say, that they're not going to be going for lane swaps anytime soon. They will still be laning into the bottom side of the map, 2v2, and now it's going to be a lot about Ever inputting defensive vision, because Marin can visit that lane with a teleport, Kuro can always go back with a Weaver's Wall, so they are in a lot of danger in this matchup if they continue to lane for Ever's side into this bottom side of the map, if the vision isn't there and if there's not control of the mid lane. And unfortunately, while for Afreeca, Septid didn't die on that gank, what happens is that the base timings are disjointed. Septid will be basing now, and Kuro gets to be right back on the lane here without any harass going on his way. So he's going to have control of the lane until Septid gets back, and that might buy enough time for Afreeca to set up wave control to start looking for plays either on the bottom side of the map or bait the play from happening and go elsewhere.
Kramer and Tucson actually spotted on a ward as they hop into the river, actually running straight by a control ward. Should be Kramer that does clean that one up. So a nice bit of vision being denied, but Ella doing his best, trying to keep it available for now.
So he places the ward in the wolf camp, but that ward is still close enough for Marin to be able to TP to it if the time is there. So Afreeca understands where they're strong, where they can make some big gain plays, and have set the according vision and proper pressure to execute these plays. So they're in a great spot this early game, and we might be looking at the return of our most beloved Game 1 Afreeca.
These guys looking solid as ever. Weird to say, considering the matchup that we do have tonight, but you can see Malrong wasted a bunch of time in the top lane trying to get a gank onto Marin that just was not happening. So immediately this Mountain Drake is going to be started by Afreeca, and no vision, 0, as we were talking about, total by Afreeca, and this should be one of the easiest Mountain Drakes we've ever seen.
They had a ward in the pit that just faded at the end, but no vision leading up to it, so it would have been completely dark as a face check. So if Afreeca were to pull back or pull the dragon out as Ever is closing in, then they would have died. He missed the slam.
The slam! Oh no, he does have his flash though, but there's the stun. Okay, they're not going to be able to get it, but they do burn his flash. Now Septid is alone in mid, but does use the culling to push back that wave and will not be dove.
Yes, this is good from Afreeca, pushing the lane that they took the advantage from, making sure that they invade the jungle, keep looking for picks, and by Malrang doing that, or by Malrang getting caught rather, Marin can continue to be aggressive. So there's no flash.
Oh boy, goodbye, sir. Welcome to the Afreeca show. As 4 members use everything they got, and they take out that poor little Lucian, and not much that Malrang, Duel, and Ella can do. Even if the death sentence landed, you're trying to hit a... Okay, they're going to get Kuro here, but a big knock-up into that equalizer and the seismic shove. Goodbye. 2 more members of Ever8 and 2 kills going over to Kramer, as well as that turret.
Do not want to make the cow angry, and the return was just beautiful. And that's what we talked about in Champ Select. Afreeca with Alistar and Rumble execute this equalizer combo synergy to a T. And here we go again. It starts off with the pick on Septid, so Fate's Call from the brush, one of the best ways to gank somebody, completely unsuspecting, ends up dying, and now Ever's thinking, oh, okay, we gotta wave through this, but they don't have any tools to do this, so the cast gets burned right away, and that's the one ability that's keeping them from tower diving. They've already used 2 of their major CCs, 3 at that point, they can just pull the trigger right away. A beautiful 3-man ultimate from Spirit that just gets 2 people deleted, and Tucson was tanking the turret the whole time, so a perfect dive from Afreeca, and now 4-0, 4,000 gold up at 12 minutes, and they're running away with this. And because we've seen so many blue side perfect games from Afreeca like this, it wouldn't be too far from our imagination to think that this is another imperfect game in the making.
Well, they're definitely down that path. Ever will put up a fight to get into this one, but it's falling apart before their eyes as also the Rift Herald gets taken away. Can be used easily in the top side if they want to go ahead and take out the last tier 1 turret. They actually give it over to Kramer, interestingly enough, and he is in the top side, so probably will be the target for them. They got Talia coming up. They can, well, they don't have the Weaver's Wall right now, but will have support at least, as it looks like Kuro just hanging around, clearing out a ward.
Because
for that.
Spirit is starting on the bottom side of the map, I think it's safe to assume that his route will be bottom to top side, and then land on the bottom lane, go for another dive there, maybe drop an equalizer with a combo, see what happens, draw out some TPs if you can, and here he goes. He's making his way to the top side of the map. There's no need for him to go bottom. You're not going to kill the Jarvan at this time. He's not going to overextend. The only available play for Afreeca is top side, so you have Malrang responding to it. He's just lingering behind, but because there's so much pressure onto this dual lane, Malrang is forced to be there, and that puts him behind. That stops him from clearing out the Wolf camp that is up, the Gromp that is available, being on the blue buff on time. And that's the effect of having such a commanding early game, that you inherently shut down your other jungler because he has to help the lanes.
Yeah, Malrang has been trying to do just that, but hasn't had much success just yet. Really just made his presence known in the mid lane, but got caught out there. Tried to go for a gank top early on Tamar, and that didn't pan out. And outside of that, he's just been farming, whereas the Rumble, Spirit, he's 0-0-4. A very nice score line to hand over all those kills to their carries, including Tushin, obviously the cow carry. No one can argue against that.
Here we go. Afreeca has pinged the top lane tower.
Okay, they're gonna try to engage onto Tushin, but not really much follow-up as he still has his ultimate available. And his flash, ignite, he's got everything. The wall maker is up here. Mr. Trump himself. Not even gonna use it, as Ever8 giving immense amount of respect. They know they can't really stick around, so there you go. 3rd turret going down already at 15 minutes into the game. Afreeca with that 5,000 gold lead already.
They're playing so well, just playing around their strong point. Kallista's already power spiked with the Blade of the Ruined King. Kog'Maw does not have his yet, but they've accelerated this one really fast. And now Dragon's coming up in a minute, so they're going to try to get something more in this red side jungle, see if they can get a pick before the Dragon spawns. And a hook comes out, but it goes wide.
Kind of surprised they're sticking around here, thinking they can take the 4v4, but here we go. The teleport coming in first from Keen, and Septic coming in. The wall is actually going to delay them. Fate's Call being used to save there, and the teleport will be finished here by Marin. And no fight really happens, just a disengage from Afreeca because the TP came out first from Keen.
They're all on different sides of the map, or of the red side jungle, so it didn't make sense for an engagement to come out from any of these sides. There was just too many variables that could have gone wrong, but now that there are no TPs, this will benefit Afreeca. They can play a lot more aggressively. They know their 4-man unit is very strong, and you don't have to worry about the potential Jarvan flanking you. You know that you've been winning as a 4v4 or 3v3, so continue to do it. Minimize the new variables onto your operation, and you're going to stick with a winning formula.
Don't have too much vision around this dragon, actually, for Afreeca.
Oh, wait a minute. Why is Ever starting this?
They're starting it, and Septid going to be engaged upon Keen. They're using a bunch of stuff here. onto Tushin, trying to move him away. The Rift Herald is going bottom lane, and uh-oh, we have a really nice equalizer set up here. Will he go for it? Doesn't look like it. Tushin was on the chase, and Ever8 smartly will not take that fight.
It was so crazy to see them start that dragon right there. They are not in that position to be going for these objectives. They are behind in gold. They need to be looking for gold, not dragons. It's unfortunate that Afreeca would be walking away with 2 mountain dragons, but the result is the same. Had they committed to that one, the equalizer would have been so brutal that their only blessing would have been that we're before 20 minutes, so Afreeca couldn't turn into a Baron right away.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we could still see a very early Baron out of the side of Afreeca with double Mountain Drake. And the Kalista. It's going to be easy peasy for them. Nice consistent damage out of the Rumble as well, so we'll be looking to make that play, no doubt. Just looking to push out all the lanes and set up for that Baron eventually. Ever8, they still have this Kog'Maw, they still have the Lucian. It's not looking good for them, obviously, but they have tools if things begin to go wrong for Afreeca where they can come back. We saw what a super late game Kog'Maw can do in game number 3 of MVP versus Jinair. So that's really what they're going to be relying on, trying to get these carries farmed and fed without losing too much, just trying to stop the bleeding here.
But remember, the engage of that game against the Kog'Maw was significantly weaker than what we see here. It's Tushin on an Alistar. That's way more impactful with a Fate's Call than the Braum. Then you have Equalizer that can zone out Kog. If Lantern isn't saved on Kog'Maw, we're going to reach a point in the game where Spirit can single-handedly remove Duel from a team fighter. And that's big. You've got Wall that can separate him. They have much more tools available to actually deal with a late-game Kog'Maw. That is something that Ever is going to have to consider. He's an equalizer.
Here comes Tushin. That's that combo you were talking about. Duel hitting a ton of damage, but so is Tushin as he's low. But Malrong, he's all alone. The Rend isn't going to kill him, and Kramer actually takes turret damage there, turret aggro rather, and almost meets his maker. So Afreeca getting pretty feisty with that one, looking for a kill, but none come out.
They do get the flash out of Duel, which is pretty big. They lost Tushin, but that just shows you how strong it is. If you're in range, he's going to go in onto you and get pulled back with Fate's Call every single time. And if the engage looks good, he can go in again and then wait for his combo out and basically get 2 guaranteed combos as well as a knockup on Fate's Call. A Kog'Maw by himself cannot deal with that. The damage reduction on Alistar is basically like a really good Gargoyle Stone Plate early on, and that's really annoying.
Yeah, we've seen this Alistar just have so much success here so far in 7-14 in Korea. 5-1 so far. And here's the combo that we've been looking for out of Afreeca. The Equalizer was maybe half a second late, but not the biggest steal in the world. Wouldn't have killed Duel anyway.
The Flask was the big one there from Malrang to make sure that the Kalista gets set aside and wasn't able to get another auto attack for another Rend onto him. Saved his own life.
Look at how much respect Ever8 is showing to this Baron. I mean, it just spawned, but when you're going up against Kalista, double Mountain, they know that this is the big objective, and here we go. Malrang just gonna run straight into an Alistar. The cast comes out, but there's the wall and the Equalizer. No flash here for Duel. Trying to get on top of that one, but the ward almost blocks it. He is gonna get it, but a nice seismic shove. Good Cataclysm though. This is that AoE damage coming out of Ever8. They're trying to turn this around, but look at Kramer rather, going to kite him for so long, but here's Septed on the chase, as well as Duel. They're going to pick up Marin. But it looks like that's just about it. Marin and Spirit go down. Still the push remains from Afreeca.
What a sporadic fight all over where people fighting the combos, the knockups were all disjointed from each other. Had such a big influence, and Duel's dead again.
Oh boy, Fate's Call into the knockup. That's going to do it for his life. Just getting too close. You got to know what is still available from the enemy team, what ults they have, what summoners, and well, he didn't calculate it well enough. 4-0-4 right now is Kramer.
This combo of Alistar Kalista, I can even vouch for the deadliness. I'll tell you in a little bit why, but we're going to look at the engage. So it does miss. They're looking for Tushin, but the second this cast comes out, it's like, okay, what's going on? Ella does get the flash to get Ella into safety, but watch what happens when Jarvan comes in. So he gets a great knockup here, but Jarvan's Cataclysm, he knocks people up, but I think he gets stuck. It gets short-sighted. Then Ella gets bopped into the wall. A great sidestep there from Kramer. Keeps him alive. That's what makes a difference. Otherwise, Duel would not have died, wouldn't have been able to use that Fate's Call to knock away the final kill onto the Kog'Maw. But Afreeca continue to win these fights.
Kramer staring down death as he says, "Not today," up against that Jarvan. And yeah, Duel just getting a little bit too close as we look at the end of this replay. Not the best start for him in this game, but here we go. Baron's still available, and a bunch of wards have been cleaned out, but still not the deepest wards available for Afreeca. So they're going to look to go for bot tier 2, perhaps, but actually spotting Malrong now. They want to go for this Gragas. Here's the speed up, into the knock-up, into the seismic shove. Goodbye, Mr. Fat Man, as he goes down, perhaps a little bit too drunk before this game started.
Now, why is the jungler farming the mid lane by himself is something that we'll never know, and that's the cue for Afreeca to go for a Baron start. They can finish this with a Kramer. That was just a really bad decision.
He's got some good stuff in that barrel, man. You don't want to know what he's storing in that one.
Well, I'll have you know, actually, that our intro song of Love Ain't No Game, I actually saw in a Asahi commercial.
Well,
it's
there
also
you go.
used in the Asahi commercial.
It's all connected. We figured it out. As Ella gets caught, going to be one of the casualties on the run. And yeah, we got over 10,000 gold lead here for Afreeca. They have a Baron. Kramer's 5-0-5. Talia 2-0-6. Kuro doing a nice job on that with the walls. And of course, Tushin 2-0-8 is Alistair. Better than ever.
But I guess, save for Marn and Spirit, we are denied the next Afreeca perfect game. 2 deaths going down. But nonetheless, objective-wise, still perfect.
Third Mountain Drake, as if they needed more. That's going to be cool for them. At least it'll be fun to see them burst down Barons and other objectives. Especially with the super fed Kalista. Now on 3 items. Phantom Dancer finished. Duel just trying desperately to catch up in that carry role. I said it before, it's one of their win conditions, but having a rough time getting this Kog'Maw off the ground.
All right, and he's going to stay grounded because he just got Wit's End. Bad dog. That's not a good boy. Bad, not a good boy. You hit him with the you hit him with the newspaper on the nose, like he just peed on your rug. Because going Wit's End right now, I don't like. Why would you go Wit's End here?
Well, it offers magic resist.
Are you dying to magic? Like, you're not even hitting people before the rumble hits you. There's no like. Who are you shredding MR for? Yourself?
Yes. I don't know what to tell you. I don't have an excuse for this one, but well, maybe he wanted to test out a new build, as you know they're having trouble in this game, no doubt. As they can't even defend this turret. I mean, with Baron coming in, Tushin is just a monster at this point. Meganar popping too. I mean, they just have to back off entirely. The wall will come out. Almost pops Duel over onto the right side. But is going to stay grounded on the left. As they watch turret after turret fall. There's the engage into the equalizer, as well as Gnar. Guro is going to be jumped on, but they just don't have enough damage follow-up. Kog'Maw zoned out for the entirety of the fight. Spent just hitting onto a Meganar, which isn't going to do all that much. So first, inhibitor goes down. Malrong also bites the dust as Afreeca continue pushing.
It's so satisfying watching Tushin get tossed in there with Kramer. Goes for the combo himself.
Duel. Oh no.
I think he'll live.
Oh, flash forward. The Rend is not in time. The Ignite comes out, but he can't go down. The rest of Ever8 is going to be burning down. Looks like we're going to start this one off with an extremely fast win for Afreeca. Ever8 falling like a house of cards, not even making this one too interesting. Jarvan going to be locked down. Perhaps they can pick up another kill? Doesn't look like it just yet.
They're just trying to stall out their lives, get a little bit more on their peacemakers if it'll allow him, but the Baron has worn off. They just need to hold this push off.
Tushin.
They're not going to be able to do so.
Oh, the cow did get slaughtered in the end, unfortunately. Unlike the movie Okta. Check that out. It was a good movie. The Oh, nice block up here as Kuro still making things work even with the low amount of health. And Septic trying to be a hero. Not going to work. Duel, it's his turn. Can he make it work? In comes Marin, and no, he can't. The suck down! And the kill here at 27 minutes, 26 seconds. Afreeca take a very fast game. It wasn't perfect, but it basically was.
He got dog slammed against the wall right at the end to make things even more picture perfect. But overall, that's basically a near perfect game from Afreeca. They played the macro well. 27 minutes, just obliterated Ever8. Ever since that dive happened into the bottom side, they just never looked back. It was clean, it was beautiful, loved what they're doing, and if only we could see this out of this team every single game, we'd legitimately have somebody that could be the best team in Korea.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely showed up tonight, but obviously a bunch of mistakes made on the side of Ever8, sticking around that bottom turret, not seeing the roam come on down from both Kuro and Spirit, responding too much to the push in mid, getting caught underneath the turret as well, double kill going down there. And basically, after that, they get swept under the rug about as fast as an angry grandma would after you mess up the room. So,
Wouldn't she clean it?
No, she'd sweep it under the rug.
My grandma would clean it.
Yeah, that one fell kind of flat on its face, I suppose. Maybe I would sweep it under the rug. I'll vacuum that up later. Spirit had a pretty nice game. He was basically like the support Rumble. He waits for other people to set up his plays and then he equalizers and does his combo.
It's a safe jungler. You can actually defend yourself early on. You've got good wave clear. You can team fight quite easily without putting yourself in harm's way. And that's one of the dangers that it was haunting Spirit lately, getting in harm's way. And this is where it all started, where you just don't use your defense abilities to clear the minion wave and expect not to get dove. Every CC has been used already. What do you expect is going to happen?
Desperate times call for desperate measures, I suppose, but that's saying not going to work out for them there, as Duel at least got out of this one. This was the one time where Ever8 almost made something happen.
Yeah, the flay was really good to get Marin out of there, but Kramer's sidestep was even more impressive to make sure that Jarvan was not able to take him out. But this game was just a stomp, to be honest. There was not a whole lot that Ever really did, and they have to completely reevaluate what they're going about in these games because Afreeca just ran them over and never gave them any chance. Like, there was individual mistakes, team mistakes, it was all over the place, and it's already too much that we criticize them. They're in last place, and unfortunately, the one thing that I always want to see from this team is just some sort of happiness come out of these players. They're always so sad. Their body language is depressing. Yeah. I just, like, these guys are really young, and you see a team like SKT that gets 3 losses in a row, and they're like, our morale is destroyed. We never expected what losses could do to our composure. Look at Ever8. They've lost 13 games in a row. What do you think that does for their mental condition? Like, they just need to get out of their own heads. Like, they're their own worst enemy right now.
Definitely a lot to work on for this team. We'll have to go into relegations, no doubt, as they themselves are staring death in the face up against Afreeca. Going into game number 2, it looks like we will have a sub. Spirit, he's a little bit tired after having his teammates set up his equalizers for him, so they're going to give Mowgli some practice. We're going to go to a short break before we get into game 2, guys. Stay tuned.